Okay, guys. Last week we have seen about contract workspace. How do you create a CLID and how do you create a contract terms? So we have seen also contract term publishing also. The contract will be published to your downstream. Downstream people can utilize your contract. Now I want to show you some additional features when you're creating a contract term. So I'll go to manage. Let's open any of the contract. Create a contract workspace, procurement. Non-release order demo. So last time you say, anytime you want to make a purchase against that contract, it will be created with one PO. Now I am going to change that to no release. Effective date should be current at the past. Otherwise, it will be publishing and which will not allow you to move until you complete. There is no notice period. I will select 1212, create. So you might be asking me why certain things are going to full view, certain times it is going to compact view. The reason is in the template, when you're publishing it, if you make that as a compact view and publish it, the user, whenever he's creating, he will get this view. If you keep the full view and publish the template, then end user, when he's creating, he will get the full view. That is only the difference. I'll go to the task, create contract terms. Related ID, which is not required. Site, I need to select only one site. Contract amount, 10,000. Proposed amount is only for recording purpose. I need to select at least one supplier. The supplier should be of a downstream enabled supplier. So these ones, since I have not entered at the time of creation, it is asking me to change it. If I entered this one at the time of creation, it will not ask me. Click on OK. From this page is what your downstream. You can see automatically in your URL, it will change to buyer. Buyer means downstream activity. There are 7 steps. We have seen item level contract. These are all fine. I'm saying release required no. Once I select release required no, it will give me additional option whether invoicing is allowed or not. If you select invoicing also no, then this contract is just for bookkeeping purposes. Sometimes you create contract for bookkeeping purposes, you can use this option. This will be also an interview question. How can you create a contract for a bookkeeping purpose? So not to get any invoice from the supplier, just for to record the transaction, you can use this option. Once you select this invoicing as yes, whether the investor has to come from default invoice requester from contract, and automatically invoice requester become the particular contract owner become the requester. These are all generally not allowed. Supplier can edit unit price, supplier can enter invoice content. If you are liberal, give this privilege to give to your end user, supplier, you can use this option. Now I go to the pricing term. Limits we are not going to discuss. I'm going to the pricing terms. Sorry guys. 10,000. Now you can see 3 things are coming. Earlier it was only material and services. Now you get additional information also. Fixed and recurring fees. What is the fixed and recurring fees? When I click on add item, every month I'm going to pay rent. So I'll select rent. Commodity code should be of a commodity code rent. Let me select if there is a commodity called rent. It should be part of services. Vehicle rental. I'm just selecting this one. How much is the amount? $1,000. There is no tolerance. Recurring is yes. It will recur every month. You can change for day, week, year also. Half-yearly or something if you are making. Done. So I'm changing every month. Billing starts from 1st August. And here I'm going to decide to February or March, I will say. Automatically system will create 8 recurrences auto invoice. This is the best feature. If you say auto invoice, then you do not expect invoicing from your supplier. The system will create an invoice and schedule a payment to your vendor. This will be useful whenever you want to make some payments to vendor without waiting for their what is called invoice. In such case, you can select auto invoice as yes, accounting information you need to fill and click on OK. Since I have mentioned effective date is 18, I cannot create invoice for the previous billing date. It should be only for future. In that case, I'll select 1st September. In 7 instances, it will create my PO. Click on OK. Okay, now again it is forcing me because I have selected my contract end period as 31st March, October, but I am creating an invoicing until next year. Either I need to click on OK or I will go back to cancel. I'll go back to exit, save this request, click on done, overview. Let's see expiration date as August only. Here terms attributes. Here I am going to change to effective date also 1st August. Expiration going to be next year, March 31st. Click on OK. I'll go to the terms. You see, whatever your agreed contracts are enforcing on your downstream contract. That is called contract compliance. Untitled contract terms. Click on open. And go to pricing terms. Fixed and recurring. Rental. Vehicle rental. Every month, 1,000 I am going to pay. Recurring as yes. Billing on monthly. 31st to 8 instances. Auto invoice is yes. So let me give 10,000 is my contract amount. If I create more than, I mean, I cannot change the, it will be, I will change the amount to 5,000. Just to validate whether system checks. You can see amount cannot exceed more than 10,000 of your period. This is how you can control. I will say 1,000 now. Click on OK. Then system will allow me to accept. Now I need to select relevant payment method because I'm making an auto invoice. Then I should have a proper GL account. Click on OK. Now this is how you can set your fixed and recurrences. And also apart from that, if there are any one-time expenses, I will select as one-time expenses installation. Something I'm selecting. Here you need to mention what is your maximum amount you're going to pay. 500. Click on OK. Just enter one material and service. Non-catalog item. Price of the lease or something or any other related item. Line item. Keyboards. $100. Test. ERS allowed. That means enhanced receipt settlement allowed. If you're selecting as yes, then automatically the vendor no need to submit any invoice. You can create an invoice and pay also. Click on I. Indicates whether evaluated receipt settlement for automatic settlement of goods received or service sheet is allowed. Invoices are created automatically after goods received or service sheets are fully approved. In this case, whenever I receive this item, for example, line item, When I receive this item, automatically invoice will get created. Let's give it a try. Click on OK. Click on Done. We might get an error in accounting. Let's give it a try. Click on Next. I'll go to Summary. I don't do any changes. Click on Save. I'll go to Task. Mark Complete. Then I will publish my contract terms. Action. Publish. It will check my pricing terms. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Submit. View the status. Buyer 4 has to approve it. Since I mentioned I'm an administrator, I can bypass the approval flows. Then you can see it will follow by sourcing confirmation, processing. Once it is processed, it will be open. Anyway, you can see created contract already created. C661, CR6061 will be your contract request. C661 will be your created contract. Processed. Okay, I'll click on contract. The status of contract is open. Now you see receive button also coming. When I go to pricing term, automatically every month system will create an invoice and it will pay to the vendor. You don't need to create any manual invoice. And this one also, I have mentioned that ERS is allowed. In enhanced receipt settlement is allowed. Then I'll click on receive. What I'm going to receive, line item 1 for 1 quantity. Okay. I'll just click on next, probably next, submit. Click on home. E61 receipts approved. As you can see, the receipts also approved. You can see invoice for whatever I have received quantity, automatically invoice got created. Thank God the system is allowing to perform all the activities today. Is it clear? These are all the options when you select no release order contract. If you select release order, then after your contract is approved, user has to create a requisition. Once it is approved, a release order will be created again in that particular contract. Something similar to your purchase order, you will be flowing it. Instead of that, if you create no release, I don't want the release again from this contract because this contract is signed and approved. I can directly go ahead and submit invoices. Then you select the release order as a no. And once you select as a release order no, an item category at item level, it is not possible to create at the category level or supplier level. It should be item level. Then you also get additional features, which is fixed and recurring fees, cost and expenses also. You can create an invoice for this installation, make the payment also instead of waiting from your supplier. Similarly, in material and services, when you select ERS enabled, automatically this approval receipts will be created with one invoice also. Ariba has a different behavior. In SAP ECC, when you want to do a goods receipt, you will go to the Migu, enter the PO number and do the deal. But Ariba will create a composing status of one document ready for you. You just need to enter your quantities. This kind of composition will be there until you exhaust your PO quantity. For example, if there is a PO quantity for 5 and you receive 2 quantities, until the 3 quantities has received, you will be having one composing document. Let's open the composing document. Click on edit. You can see line item number 3. Previously accepted 1, total received 1, edit. Now again I will accept 3 quantity. Click on submit. Summary. You can also see who has to upload. By a 7, I'm just removing. Let's give it a try. Home. RC stands for receipt. I'll open the contract C61. I'll go to receipt. You see, receiving is unpaid, completed. Then one more invoice also got generated. Until this contract is open, you'll be having one composing one. Once you close this contract, automatically this composing also will end. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is order, no, is order, and not ever. Then thing with this contract management, I'll open templates. Okay, now workflow definition. For example, let me open any one of the contract workspace template, contract templates. Click on open. What is this contract between buyer and supplier? This is contract request template. That's it. Okay, these are all the templates. Suppose we do not have a filter in template so that to filter this thing, but we can use the available options here. From here, you select actions, table options menu. By clicking on that, you can select document type. Then document type will be added to your menu. By sorting order, by clicking on the document type, the templates will be sorted by this order. If I click on more, maximize this table, I can see all contract workspaces will be available. Again, we are in a subfolder, template and contract template. If I go to templates, then all other than contracts also will be shown here. Some tricky ones I will show you here. Fortunately, this template is neat. No one has moved any template which is not belong to contract request or contract other than contract. This contract request sales, we should not be using it. Contract workspace procurement, something I want to use this one. Click on open. Okay. Whatever the tasks created in this contract workspace will be coming to your end user. All these phases also will come to your end user. Even documents also, whatever you have mentioned here, contract documents, reference document, these documents also will be coming to your end user. In order to check that, I just click on create my test project. You enter the name of your project, enter some effective date and expiry date. If I am unable to select the template, click on create text. Now the template. So it's not allowing me to template. So maybe there could be a template question which I need to answer. Yeah. Ariba best classes, Mohsin Abbasi. Does this contract use supplier paper or main agreement? I'll select supplier paper. Then I'll click on create test. So I go to documents. I'll go to tasks. You can see all these tasks are coming here. Now the condition is supplier paper. So I want to know by giving that answer what and all I can able to control. I able to return to template editor. I'll go to conditions. Does this contract user, he has not kept any answer. Sorry, main edit details, which we have explained. Supplier paper or our main agreement template. Please select. The user has to select this option. This has to change. He will be seeing these two options. Without changing this value, I will not able to create a contract workspace. Once supplier selects supplier paper, I'm recording the response as a supplier paper equal to true. Our main agreement equal to true. This is what I'm capturing the answer where I'm using this question. I'll go to task. Nowhere in the task I'm using it. I'll go to documents, expanding the folder. Nowhere I am using document also. Suppose main agreement example ECA. If we are using supplier paper, I don't want to use this main agreement. In that case, I will select condition other. If our main agreement, if the supplier paper is true, then I want to come only when the user select main agreement. I want this to be used. If it is a supplier agreement, I don't want to give this template. I'll create one task in action, upload document from supplier or other paper. You can see supplier paper equal to 2. When user selects supplier paper, this task will be created. If the user select main agreement, then it will tell him to prepare document for negotiation. Anyway, this was derived in question itself. I will create my test project again. Selecting supplier paper. Create test. Then go to task. Supplier paper task only coming. It is not giving me other option which is called document. Under contract document, I don't see my main agreement. This is how you can control your responses from your supplier, responses from your end user. Based on that, you are controlling the task and documents availability based on the responses. If I want to change that answer, I'll go back to overview. This may be a repetitive session, but just want to make sure that we understand well. I'll go to template questions. I will change I have by time of creation I selected, but later I want to change main agreement because I don't have a supplier paper. You can also see from where this contract is coming from. This is coming from the template. This is the answer I'm changing. Clicking on OK. Once I select main agreement, automatically in the document, click on document. Contract document, main agreement is coming now. Again, the earlier task has been please upload supplier paper. Now I'm getting prepared document for negotiation. Under contract document, it has been come. So the other task has been removed. Now, whatever you are doing this activity, you are forcing the user to follow the template procedure. Your company having a approval. Our company is having a workflow. That is what we are defining here. Now I will give you an example. Your company has a policy that if the contract is created for capital expenditure, then that has to go for a particular approval flow, and also it has to be added to the budget details. So for that reason, what I'm going to do, I'm going to documents, task, action. So I'm not in an editor. So I'll go to return to template editor, going to the task, action. Now I want to make a approval if the item is for budget, capital expenditure. How do I get this capital? I'll add a document called upload document, choose file. Just selecting some file which is having details of asset number, where it is going to use, what is the warranty, and additional details. I'm going to click on create action, edit attributes. I'm going to say asset details. Click on save. Asset detail form is there. I'm going to create an approval flow for asset detail. Approval is required if approval flow, approval for capital expenditure. Click on OK. I'll go to task, editing my task. Now I'm going to create a serial flow. First is I want my supervisor has to approve this. Supervisor approval flow. Supervisor, automatically whoever creating a contract, his supervisor will be added. I'm going to give the reason as supervisor approval is required. Okay. And I'm making approval required as yes. Now I'm going to create one more serial rule. After my supervisor, finance manager has to approve it. You can say this is for internal team to understand, and the rule description, finance manager approval required for capital expenditure. And here, either I can create group or a user also. Add group. I'm selecting group, whether users in this group has to approve. For example, I'm adding a finance group, selecting this finance group. Whether whoever in the finance group, all members has to approve, then I select this as a yes. If I do not select yes, any one from this group can approve it. And I am so giving a reason, finance approval for CapEx. Click on done. Or I'm adding one more rule. At this stage, I want to give the details to asset team. Saying that asset team to notify asset details. Here again, I am adding user approver. Approvers are user. I am selecting user. Buyer one, for example, user one. He is the one responsible for note down of asset details. But again, I don't want his approval. He just need to be notified. So here I am saying asset team note down asset details. Okay. Here approval does not require. Click on done. Click on OK. Now I created an approval flow. If you view the task detail, click on custom. For better understanding, I'll show you. I'm saying supervisor, but currently buyer 7 do not have a supervisor. So this is not working now. Action. and edit task details. And the first node, supervisor. Instead of supervisor, I'm just adding approver. I'm selecting buyer 7 as my supervisor also. I'm done. Now let us understand that whether it is a capital asset purchase or not, how do I know? I want to ask that question to user itself. I'm going to add a question. Is this capital expenditure? User say yes. I'm going to say capture that response as capital underscore yes. This is the best practice. Capital underscore no. Just to define, the user says no. I'm going to capture that information as cap underscore no. I'm adding one more answer. Please select. I want this to be my default answer. That has to be changed. Without entering this value, it should not go. Click on OK. And if it says capital expenditure as yes, then I want this approval flow to trigger. Otherwise, it's okay. I don't want. So capital yes means I need to select other condition. Capital yes means I want this approval flow to start. I'll click on create my test project. Before that, I will increase the ranking also just to bring this from now. Earlier when I'm creating it was in third page. I'll bring it at least to little bit above of that one. How do I do that? Go to ranking. Just put one rank. Now create my test project. Second please. Okay, create test. Sorry, test project now. Effective date. You can see now at least it has moved to second. And here it is asking me to select supplier paper main agreement. Even I need to complete this question, otherwise I will not able to submit my test. I am forcing the user to give an answer. Is this capital expenditure? User says yes. Then click on create test. Once a test is created, once I go to the task, approval for capital expenditure. Once I click on this view task details, click on custom rule. There are 3 people has to approve this approval flow. Buyer 7, why he is to give? I've added the description there as a tooltip, supervisor approval. Why finance has to approve? Finance approval for capital expenditure. Why this watcher is there? Asset team to note down asset detail. Whatever I'm mentioning there, that is visible so that they can know why it is added. For his approval, I select no, then he become a watcher. What will happen? After buyer 7 and finance approve, he will go a notification to this person saying that asset purchase has been approved. You can note down your detail. He will open the particular document. His approval is not required. So this is only for recording keeping. He will go to the document. Once he get that description, he will enter this asset detail. Whatever the details are there, he will note down. So this is your controlling your company's workflow. Like this, you can create for anything. Maybe you can say, are you from particular region? So that is the reason you can define different templates or tasks based on that particular task. Also, if the amount of spend is more than so and so, you want to create an approval flow or you want to create task, you can decide on that. Like that, any of your business scenarios, you can able to drive it. For example, uh, capital expenditure in India up to 50,000 rupees, you do not need any approval. If other than India region, then the approval amount may be $1 million or something like that. So you can create two approval flows, more than 1 million or less than 50,000, and you can define the condition. This is for India region and this is for non-India region, something like that. Any your business scenarios, you can get the response from your end user. Based on that, you can derive your task and document. This is once you make the task or documents in template, then that has to approval. So for example, there is an hashtag and someone creating a contract workspace, he need to complete the task in order to submit his project. If you say no, then it is not required. You can give option to the end user whether he want to submit, he can submit, or it is up to him. Suppose you do not given any of these approval flows in your template level, how can an end user will do that? So I'll open any of the template which currently end user is creating. The steps which I have explained is for both sourcing, all the upstream related project. I'll just select one of the project, contract workspace procurement, search, which is in draft status. Okay. It's CPW. Someone is using. Click on open. Okay. Now these are all coming from your template. Suppose I have not derived this one, but the end user knows that it has to go to his supervisor and his finance manager and it budget approval also. What he will going to do? Action. Why I am not seeing the task creation here? Good question. Action. You can see I am unable to create phase to do notification. Once I go to add, I can able to, even I am unable to create main agreement or upload any document. Any idea why I am unable to do this? Any guess? Random guess also. The contract is in draft status. That means we should able to make changes. But I'm not able to see creation of a task or uploading of a document also. Why is that like that? Random guess? Okay. Because I am not a member. Buyer 1 is the owner of this template. Under his team, I am not a part of this member. Buyer 7 is no more related to this particular contract, so it will not allow him to do any changes. If I have customer administrator rule, then there is a possibility. But since contract workspace is only limited to team only, how do I make changes to this? There is no way. Action, teams, even teams control also not there. Suppose in the template level, when you're saying team, whether member can edit the group, then you will able to get this one. But that is also restricted for me. That is the reason I am unable to create this template. Now let's go to buyer 7, anything which he has created. Buyer 7, which is in draft mode, demo creating task from end user. This. Okay, now I go to action. Now you can see phase, to do, task, notification, task, all are coming. And I'll go to document also, main agreement. Even I can upload, create all the documents also. The same thing which I have just done sometime before, that is done at the template level. But if you don't want that to be applicable for all the users, you want to give the freedom to end user, he has to create a task and everything from here. He has to upload a document, create a task from that, and send for his approval also. Is it clear? The difference between creating task, documents, and everything from the template and creating from the end user perspective. think we have covered most of the part from your contract workspace. We have seen documents, how to upload main agreement, how to upload contract addendum, how do we create contract terms, how do we create sale ID and send to external system, and contract terms also, release order and no release order. No release order will give you privileges to add recurring and fixed expenses so that you can make recurring expenses accountable in your contract itself, and you're not expecting any release against that particular contract. And also you're allowing invoicing to be happen directly on your contract itself. Again, you can use enhanced receipt settlement. What will happen? Automatically based on your receipt of an item, invoice will be created and send payment will be sent to the vendor. You're not expecting any invoice to come from your vendor. Though the process is easy, in real time, you need to enable in supplier master whether that supplier is enabled for ERS or not. Only if we enable for ERS, then this will function will allow, and he will not able to create any invoice for us. Only will make automatic settlement also.